The first time I met Lauren was at a little coffee shop just off campus. I was a sophomore back then, pulling espresso shots, struggling to stay on top of school and bills. She walked in like she owned the place, laughing with her friend, loud enough to make heads turn. There was something magnetic about her, a kind of energy that demanded attention. She ordered a chai latte, and I, in all my brilliance, handed her a cappuccino instead. Smooth. She looked at me, amused, and said, "I'll give you a pass this time." That one offhand comment? It stuck with me. We started bumping into each other, on campus, at events, always by chance. Eventually, I worked up the courage to ask her out. Our first date was nothing flashy, burgers at a diner, followed by a walk by the lake, but it felt effortless. Lauren was studying criminal justice, laser-focused on a future in law. Her ambition was intense, but she could still make me laugh until I couldn't breathe. She had a presence, and back then, I found it captivating. By graduation, we were inseparable. I landed a junior role at a publishing house, and she got a position at a law firm. We lived in a tiny apartment with creaky floors and peeling wallpaper, but we made it work. Late-night talks, cheap takeout, dreams about our future. It felt like the beginning of something solid. When our first child was born, everything shifted. I remember holding her hand in the delivery room, stunned by her strength. Lauren took a step back from her career and threw herself into motherhood, while I focused on work and climbed the corporate ladder. We barely slept, but we were a team, always finding ways to support each other. Or at least, that's how I saw it. Eventually, we moved into a modest house. As the kids grew, life got even more demanding. When our youngest started kindergarten, Lauren returned to her legal career, quickly rising to lead the paralegal team at her firm. Watching her thrive professionally while keeping the house running deepened my respect for her. She was intense, always in control, but she made it work. Despite the chaos, we made time for each other, weekly date nights, summer vacations, even quiet evenings on the porch. It felt like we'd built something lasting. Every high, every low, brought us closer. Or so I believed. But looking back, the signs were there. Little things I didn't want to see. A few months ago, things changed. Lauren started acting different. At first, it felt like a positive shift. She began putting more effort into our mornings, cooking full breakfast instead of tossing me toast. Dinner became a multi-course event, with wine and candles, like we were on some honeymoon reboot. Then came the lingerie, new, expensive, and definitely not her usual. She became overly affectionate, seducing me into bed early, whispering how much she loved me. I didn't question it. After nearly 25 years of marriage, I just figured we'd hit a second wind. I welcomed it, even leaned into it. With our youngest off to college, I made a conscious effort to show her I noticed. I got home by 5 every day, something I hadn't done in years. We started going out again, dinners, local shows, even dance classes. I brought her flowers, took her out on spontaneous dates. It felt like we were rediscovering something we'd lost. Let me introduce myself properly. I'm Gavin Mercer, but everyone calls me Gav. I've been married to Lori, for almost 25 years. We've had our fair share of ups and downs, but I thought we were solid. I work as a senior director at a major publishing house, and I've spent the last 2 decades mastering every part of the business, manuscripts, marketing, contracts, even film rights. It's a demanding job, but one I take pride in. Lauren, nearly 45 and still stunning, thanks to disciplined skincare routines and a somewhat obsessive approach to aging well, has carved out an impressive career of her own. People always said we made a striking couple. Behind the scenes, though, things weren't quite as polished. After years of working as a paralegal, she was promoted to manage her department at Langley, Dixon & Harris, one of the top law firms around. She thrived in that environment, high stress, high control, just how she liked it. At home, her need to manage everything never really turned off. Then last Wednesday happened. I got home around 5, like usual. Lori was in the kitchen, preparing one of those elaborate meals she'd been into lately. I walked up behind her, kissed the back of her head, our quiet little routine. Normally, she'd stop what she was doing, turn around, kiss me like she meant it. But this time, nothing. She didn't even flinch. I smiled, trying to play it off. No grand welcome kiss for me today? Still facing the stove, she said flatly, "I'm just glad you're home." Her voice sounded distant, disconnected. Like she wasn't just avoiding eye contact, she was avoiding me altogether. I studied her for a moment. "Everything okay?" "Nothing at all," she said quickly, too quickly. "Go change," she said, her voice light but strangely hollow. I'll pour you a glass of your favorite wine while you get comfortable. Something about the way she said it felt off. There was no warmth behind it, no familiar spark. But I didn't push. I told myself I was overthinking, chalked it up to stress or a long day. So I headed upstairs. I slipped out of my suit, tossed my shirt into the laundry basket, and threw on a pair of Dockers and an old college sweatshirt. Comfortable. Simple. Normal. Dinner that night wasn't extravagant, but you could tell she'd put some real thought into it. We started with a fresh salad, lettuce and tomatoes, lightly dressed, and then she brought out roasted pork over cauliflower rice. It wasn't flashy, but it was carefully prepared. Lauren had always known how to make a meal feel like more than just food. We sat down and toasted our glasses. She looked at me with a softness that felt unfamiliar, like she was seeing me and not seeing me at the same time. "You know I love you, right?" she said. It stopped me for a beat. The words were familiar, but the tone wasn't. This wasn't the breezy, "love you" we tossed around out of habit. There was something loaded behind it, something final. "Yeah," I replied, trying to shake the unease creeping in. "And I love you too." We cleaned up after dinner like usual, me rinsing dishes and stacking them in the dishwasher, her wrapping leftovers with quiet efficiency. Nothing about it should have felt different. But it did. "I'm going upstairs to change," she said, barely meeting my eyes. Expecting another one of our recent romantic evenings, I followed a few minutes later. The living room was dim when I came down, bathed in soft, amber light. Lauren was lounging on the sofa in a sheer negligee, something I'd never seen before. It clung to her in a way that made my breath catch. She looked like a fantasy, one conjured for a night of passion. I knelt beside her, kissed her deeply. My lips wandered from her mouth to her neck, down to her bare shoulders. The negligee slipped off with ease, revealing the woman I'd loved for over 2 decades. And in that moment, I was mesmerized all over again. "You love me, don't you, Gav?" she whispered, voice low, teasing almost. "You'll always love me, no matter what?" "Of course I do," I said, without hesitation. I quickly undressed, joined her on the sofa, and let our bodies speak the language they'd always known. The fire between us hadn't died, it was roaring. Half an hour later, we lay wrapped in each other, basking in the warmth of it. Her head rested on my chest. I traced lazy circles on her back. "It's nice," I said, rediscovering the spark we let fade. She smiled faintly. "It is." We started trading compliments, her praising my fitness, me telling her she could still pass for someone in her early 30s. It was playful, nostalgic. For a few minutes, it felt like old times. But just as I was about to drift off into sleep, her voice pulled me back. "Gav, there's something I need to tell you." I murmured, "Anything," barely conscious. "You know I love you, right?" she asked again, this time more gently. I opened my eyes, alert now. "Yes," I said slowly. "And I love you too." She hesitated, then exhaled. "This Friday. I've made plans to spend the night with someone. A man from my office." At first, I didn't understand. The words made no sense. Then they hit me sharp and cold. I sat up fast, heart pounding. "What the hell are you talking about?" She reached for me, tried to pull me back against her. "Please, just listen." "No," I said firmly. "Explain this. Now." "It doesn't change how I feel about you," she said softly. "I still love you. You still love me. That won't change." I blinked, stunned. "You're not serious." "I am," she said, her voice maddeningly calm. "We're having dinner. Maybe dancing. Then we'll go back to his hotel. I'll spend the night. I'll be home Sunday morning." I stared at her like she'd grown another head. "So what? You're planning to sleep with some guy and then come home like nothing happened?" "Don't put it like that," she snapped. "That's crude. He's a good man. I like him." The shock jolted me fully awake. I stood and started getting dressed, the weight of her betrayal sinking in. The night had turned ice cold. "Gav, please don't react like this," she pleaded. "It's just this once. He's leaving Sunday for New York. He won't be back. It's just one night?" I echoed, disbelief dripping from my voice. "You expect me to forget this ever happened?" "You'll see," she said, adjusting the sash on her robe. "Things will go back to normal. You'll forget, and we'll move on." "Forget?" I snapped. "After 25 years, this is what you do? Why now, when everything seemed good?" Her expression shifted, defensive, calculated. "His name doesn't matter. You don't need to know it. And I don't want you doing anything reckless. He's bigger than you, stronger. He could hurt you if it came to that." "Oh, believe me," I said coldly, "if I decide to do something, he won't be the one walking away." She sighed. "Gav, please. He leaves Sunday night. That's it. One night. Then it's over. He better leave, I growled. Because if he shows his face again, I swear, the next time he walks into a courtroom, it'll be on crutches. The anger slowly gave way to something heavier, grief. We'd been together over 2 decades. She was my first, my only. I'd turned down plenty of chances to stray, but I never once did. Because I believed in us. How long has this been going on? I asked, my voice low. It's not a thing, she replied, eyes darting. We've barely touched. What does that mean? I pressed. Kissing? Holding hands? More. She stayed silent. That silence told me everything. After a long pause, she finally spoke. He joined the firm 6 months ago. Came in from a big New York office to help with a complicated tax case. I was assigned to assist him. Charts, research, legal prep. We spent a lot of time together. We got close. And that was it. No apology. No regret. Just cold, calculated honesty. And just like that, the life I thought I knew shifted beneath my feet. 2 months ago, Lauren said, her voice low and steady. He told me he had feelings for me. He said he wanted to sleep with me. She didn't look at me when she said it. Just stared down at her hands, perfectly still. My chest tightened. But I didn't want to sneak around, she continued. No seedy motel rooms. Nothing reckless at the office. This felt different. It needed to mean something. He suggested I take a night away, just one, and make it special. I stared at her, stunned. And you said what? I told him I couldn't lie to you, she said. So he asked if maybe you'd allow it. Just once. My jaw clenched. And you thought I might actually be okay with that? I wasn't sure, she admitted. But I hoped you'd understand. That it wouldn't change anything between us. I stood there, dumbfounded. Why? I asked, my voice cracking under the weight of it. Why would you risk everything we've built? We're happy. We love each other. We have an incredible life, a solid marriage, great kids, no debt, good health. Why throw a grenade into all of that? She hesitated, then delivered the line that broke me. Because, she said quietly, he made me realize. I've only ever been with you. I've never known anything else. And now I want to know what I might be missing. Just once. I stared at her, stunned. He makes me feel seen, she continued. Whole. Like something inside me has been waiting for this. So that's it. I said bitterly. You're ready to blow up our entire life for curiosity. He cares about me, and I care about him, she said, as if that somehow justified it. It's not just some sleazy fling, Gav. It's not like that. But Lauren, I said, my voice rising. We have something rare, something people spend their whole lives chasing. You're the only woman I've ever been with. I thought I was the only man you'd ever been with. You don't get it, she snapped. I need this. I want this. I want him. Why? I asked, desperate for something, anything, that made sense. She exhaled. Because he's beautiful, Gav. He's younger than me, but still looks at me like I'm the most desirable woman in the room. I'm drawn to him in a way I can't explain. I need to experience this. If I don't, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Her voice softened, as if that would somehow soothe the blow. After this, I'll be yours completely, she said. I'll never do anything like this again. No, I said, shaking my head. I won't agree to this. It'll destroy us. It'll destroy me. It won't, she insisted, stepping toward me. Once it's over, I'll make it up to you. I'll be the best wife you could ever imagine. I'll cook, clean, handle everything at home, laundry, shopping, dinner, you name it. I'll be yours in every way. Anytime, any way you want. I'll treat you like a king for the rest of our lives. My stomach turned. And I'm just supposed to live with the fact that my wife slept with another man? You'll have to accept it, she said, her voice suddenly hard. I need to do this. It won't change how I feel about you. I felt my blood go cold. So all the affection, the breakfasts, the wine, the new lingerie, these past 2 months weren't about reconnecting? I laughed bitterly. They were just your way of softening me up, conditioning me to be okay with this insanity. She didn't respond. She didn't have to. Her silence said everything. She had made her decision. And nothing I said, no plea, no argument, was going to change her mind. I didn't beg. I didn't shout. I just turned and walked upstairs. Lauren would have to live with the fallout of her choices, whatever that looked like. I grabbed a change of clothes, some toiletries, and moved into the guest room down the hall. It had its own bathroom, a small comfort in what now felt like an unfamiliar house. As I was unpacking, she appeared in the doorway. "Gav, don't do this," she said quietly. "Nothing's going to change. I know you're hurt, but by Sunday afternoon this will all be behind us. We'll go back to being us." I looked her straight in the eye. "I'm not just hurt, Lauren," I said, voice calm but cold. "If you go through with this, there is no more us." Then I shut the guest room door. Alone, my thoughts spun out in every direction. Divorce? Leaving? Kicking her out? Telling our kids? Her parents? But none of it felt right. As angry as I was, I still loved her. I didn't want to burn everything down. Not yet. And I wasn't about to walk away from my own home. Forcing her out would only escalate things, and dragging family into it would just turn a private wound into a public mess. If she was going to cancel this thing, it had to be her decision, not something I forced or threatened. Otherwise, she might just find another way next time. Still, I couldn't shake the timing. It was Thursday night. She'd waited until the last possible moment to tell me, probably so I wouldn't have time to stop her. And that terrified me. She said it was just one night. But what if it wasn't? What if she came back changed? What if she liked it? What if one night turned into a crack in the dam? We'd been together for over 25 years. The passion between us wasn't new anymore, but it was still there. I still found her beautiful, whether she wore a towel, a negligee, or nothing at all. But now, someone else was about to see what was mine. And worse, she wanted them to. As I lay awake, one thought started to grow louder in my mind. Maybe I could stop this. Not by convincing her, but by cutting it off at the source. If this other man vanished from the equation, if he left town early, I might still have time to remind Lauren of what she was about to lose. Before I finally drifted to sleep, I came up with a plan. Talking Lauren out of this felt impossible, but her employer might see it differently. I knew Langley, Dixon, and Harris had strict internal rules about workplace relationships, especially between senior staff and subordinates. If I discreetly alerted a senior partner, they might intervene. A conversation from someone above her might carry the kind of weight she wouldn't ignore. The next morning, I woke up before her. Normally, I'd have made her coffee, brought it to her bedside. But not today. When she appeared in the kitchen and offered a hesitant "good morning," I didn't answer. All I managed to say before walking out that morning was, "Don't do this." No kiss, no goodbye, just silence. I knew she noticed the shift. She always noticed. But I couldn't bring myself to pretend things were normal, not when everything was unraveling. Later that morning, I drove downtown to the towering glass and steel skyscraper that housed the offices of Langley, Dixon, and Harris, Lauren's firm. The elevator ride felt like an eternity, but soon I stepped into their polished reception area, sleek furniture, abstract art, and a view that screamed success. It hadn't changed since the last time I attended one of their events with Lauren. Behind the large reception desk sat Clara Whitmore, the firm's long-standing office manager. Clara and I had crossed paths at local fundraisers and community events over the years. We weren't close, but we were friendly. She was in her mid-50s, elegant without trying, always dressed conservatively, her blonde hair swept into a neat bun, glasses perched just so. There was an effortless professionalism about her. When she spotted me, her face lit up. "Gavin, what a nice surprise." She stepped from behind the desk and gave me a warm, brief hug. For a moment, her smile lifted the weight pressing down on me. "Clara," I said, forcing a faint smile. "I need to speak with Mr. Langley. It's personal. Important." Her expression shifted immediately, her eyes narrowing with perceptiveness. "This is about Lauren, isn't it?" I paused. "Maybe." Clara nodded thoughtfully and checked her computer. "Mr. Langley is finishing a meeting now. He has about 30 minutes before lunch with clients. I'll make sure he sees you." I thanked her and sat down in one of the modern armchairs. A few minutes later, she returned with a coffee. "I added a splash of Bailey's," she said with a wink. "You look like you need it." I managed a tired smile. "Thanks." But my focus stayed locked on the conversation ahead. This wasn't something I ever imagined doing, showing up at my wife's workplace to intervene in something so personal, so humiliating. But I didn't know what else to do. I hoped Mr. Langley might offer some solution, or at least perspective. The intercom on her desk buzzed. "I'm back in my office, Clara," came the voice of Robert Langley. She jumped on the moment. "Mr. Langley, Gavin Mercer is here. He'd like to speak with you for a few minutes. It's important." A pause. "Then, if you think it's worth my time, send him in. I've got about 5 minutes." Clara walked me down a short hallway to a large wooden door. She gave me an encouraging nod before opening it and gently closing it behind me. The office was just what you'd expect from a senior partner: elegant, spacious, and intimidating in all the right ways. Degrees, plaques, and framed accolades lined the walls. A sleek desk sat near a sitting area with leather chairs and a glass coffee table. Mr. Langley stood near the desk and stepped forward to shake my hand. "Gavin, good to see you." "Still in publishing?" he asked with a polite smile. "I am," I said, my voice tight. "Doing okay. If Clara says it's important, it must be." "What's going on?" I took a breath, trying to settle the knot in my chest. "This isn't easy," I began. "It's embarrassing, to be honest." He waited, watching me closely but without judgment. "My wife, Lauren, she works here," I said. "She told me she's planning to spend Saturday night with one of your associates. I've tried everything to stop her. She's made up her mind." I could see the realization click in his eyes. He didn't need details, he understood instantly. "You want me to step in?" he asked. "Talk to Lauren, or the associate?" "That's why I came," I admitted. "But now I'm starting to think it was a mistake. This is my mess. I need to deal with it." Mr. Langley nodded, his tone turning professional. "Our firm does have policies about workplace relationships, especially within the same department. Those rules are there for a reason: conflict of interest, legal exposure, reputational risk." "I understand," I said quietly. He placed a hand on my shoulder. "The truth is, Gav, our fraternization policy isn't as strong as it should be. I've been meaning to tighten it, make the consequences more explicit. But these things don't change overnight, and certainly not before Saturday." I nodded, feeling both grateful and disappointed. I couldn't expect him to fix what I couldn't control at home. "Thanks for hearing me out," I said, stepping back. "I'm sorry to have brought this to your door." He looked at me with something like sympathy. "Good luck, Gav. I hope it works out." I returned to the reception area, where Clara was waiting. Her expression was a mix of curiosity and concern. "How did it go?" she asked gently. "It was a mistake," I said. "I shouldn't have come. I feel foolish." "You're being too hard on yourself," she replied, offering a kind smile. "Sit for a bit. I'll bring you another coffee, or something stronger if you'd prefer." I collapsed into a chair, ran my hands over my face. I felt defeated. My options were shrinking fast. Lauren seemed committed to going through with it, and I had no idea how to stop her. As my thoughts spiraled, Clara's voice broke through the noise. "Come on, Gav. Let's get lunch." My treat. I hesitated, but the idea of stepping away, even briefly, appealed to me. I nodded. She arranged for a colleague to cover her desk, then linked her arm with mine as we headed out. It was a small gesture, but one that made me feel less alone. We walked to a nearby restaurant she liked, tucked away on a quiet street. Over iced tea and a light lunch, Clara coaxed the story out of me. I didn't go into graphic detail, but I told her the truth about the past 2 months, about the night Lauren told me, about what she was planning to do. Clara listened without interrupting, her gaze steady and full of quiet empathy. She didn't judge. She didn't offer cliches. She just sat with me, letting me speak. And for the first time in days, I felt like someone actually understood what I was going through. Clara listened without interrupting, nodding at the right moments, her expression calm and focused. There was no judgment in her eyes, just quiet empathy. I didn't realize how much I needed that until I felt myself relaxing a little. After we placed our orders, she chose soup and half a sandwich. I went with a Caesar salad. We drifted into lighter conversation. Weather, work, a bit about mutual friends. Just enough to take the edge off. When the plates were cleared, she ordered coffee for both of us, and for a few minutes, we just sat there in companionable silence. Then Clara leaned forward, her voice low. "Did you know my late husband was a fighter pilot?" I blinked. "I knew you were widowed, but no, I didn't know he was a pilot." Her expression softened. "Mark was my hero. We married right after he graduated from the Air Force Academy. He flew a TINS, the Warthog, they call it. He served 2 tours in the Middle East." I listened as she told me about his military service, her voice steady but edged with emotion. Mark had received the Silver Star, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and 2 Bronze Stars. Her pride in him was unmistakable, even through the pain that still lived beneath her words. "He used to tell me about air combat tactics," she continued. "There's one I always remembered. When 2 pilots were up against a single enemy, they'd split up. Force the enemy to pick a target, chase one, and the other gets a free shot. Try to chase both, and you lose them both." I looked at her, unsure where she was going with this. Are you talking about Lauren's date? She smiled faintly, her eyes sharper than before. Give her a choice, Gav. No matter what she chooses, make sure you win. She reached across the table, gently taking my hand. There was something in that gesture calm, firm, kind. And for the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope break through the fog. After lunch, I returned to the office and threw myself into work, doing everything I could to avoid going home. The idea of sitting across from Lauren, pretending things were normal, was more than I could stomach. I wasn't ready to play house, not after everything she'd told me. That evening, I stopped by the Iris Club, a quiet spot where I sometimes met friends for drinks. I needed the distraction, the background noise, anything to drown out the thoughts clawing at me. It was nearly 10 p.m. when I finally walked through the front door. Lauren was there, waiting, arms crossed. You didn't call, she snapped. I went out of my way to make dinner, and now it's sitting in the fridge. I thought maybe we could talk. Reconnect. She sniffed the air, her expression souring. And now I can smell the booze on you. Yes, I said flatly. I had a few drinks. I stayed out because I didn't want to sit here pretending things were fine. I needed a break from this, from you, from everything you're planning to do tomorrow. I didn't wait for her response. I turned and walked toward the guest room. I'm going to bed, I said over my shoulder. Her voice chased me down the hall. Don't worry, Gav. Tomorrow will come and go, and we'll go back to normal. You'll see. I didn't answer. I shut the door, stripped down to my boxers, and collapsed onto the guest bed, drained. My body was tired, but my mind refused to rest. The next morning, I was up early. I skipped breakfast, just had coffee and toast, and headed outside to do yard work. I needed something physical, something that didn't involve thinking. I mowed the lawn, pulled weeds, trimmed the hedges. Sweat poured down my back, but I welcomed it. When I came back inside, Lauren was standing at the mirror, applying lipstick. I've got a spa appointment, she said casually. Monty, petty, the works. I'll be back later. I leaned against the counter, staring at her. Lauren, I said quietly, don't do this. It won't end the way you think it will. She paused, just for a second, then grabbed her bag and left without another word. A few hours later, she returned. I heard her heels clicking on the hardwood before I saw her. Her hair was swept up in an elegant twist. Her nails were painted a bold red. She looked radiant, too radiant. Every detail screamed preparation. But I hadn't wasted the day, either. When she walked into the living room, she stopped abruptly. The rug had been rolled up. The coffee table moved. Soft lighting filled the space. The stereo played something slow, romantic. What's going on, Gav? She asked cautiously. Why's the furniture moved? I made room for dancing, I said casually. I thought maybe we could have a romantic night in. She folded her arms, suspicion written all over her face. What are you trying to pull? Nothing manipulative, I said. I just want to remind you what you're walking away from. Come with me. Reluctantly, she followed me into the dining room. Her eyes widened when she saw the table. I'd set it with our finest china, polished silverware, crystal glasses. A bouquet of red roses stood tall in the center, flanked by 2 flickering candles. The room looked like it belonged in a luxury restaurant. Gav, she said slowly, her voice cool, I know what this is. But it's not going to work. I already have plans. I know what your plans are, I said evenly. But plans can change. Especially when there's something better on the table. She scoffed. Are you really asking me to cancel on him for this? I'm asking you not to throw away your life for a fantasy. Before she could argue, I gestured toward the kitchen. Let me show you what I've prepared. She sighed but followed. I opened the oven slightly and checked the timer. We're starting with a chilled green gazpacho, I began, garnished with cucumber and yellow tomatoes. Then a crisp salad, iceberg with avocado and bacon, topped with ranch. Gav, stop, she said softly. Please. You're doing all of this for nothing. I pressed on. To cleanse the palate, a lime sorbet. Then, the main course, pork chops, stuffed with herbed rice, finished with a béarnaise sauce. On the side, garlic butter asparagus and creamy potato gratin. I looked her in the eyes. I'm not doing this to win a contest. I'm doing this because I love you. Because I refuse to let this end without fighting for us. Her lips parted like she was about to speak, but no words came. For dessert, I continued, keeping my tone calm, a scoop of vanilla ice cream drizzled with green creme de menthe. Then coffee and your choice of liqueur, amaretto, Baileys, or maybe that hazelnut stuff you like. Lauren sighed, a tired exhale of guilt and frustration. It sounds amazing, Gav, really. But I'm leaving tonight. I even bought a new dress, just for this. Without another word, she turned and headed upstairs. I heard the shower start a few minutes later. The sound of water hitting tile was louder than it should have been, like it was washing away what little we had left. I went to our bedroom and got dressed, black dress pants, a fitted black button-down, and polished leather dance shoes. Not a full suit, but enough to show I still cared, that I was still trying. When Lauren came down, my heart sank. She was breathtaking. The black dress clung to her like it had been tailored by hand. The neckline drew the eye, the slit up her thigh teased with every step, revealing the tops of sheer stockings. Her diamond-studded heels sparkled beneath the lights. "How do I look?" she asked, doing a slow spin with the confidence of someone fully aware of her impact. Anger stirred deep in my chest, but I held it down. I forced a tight smile. "You look incredible. Like you're dressed to impress someone who isn't me." "It's a special night, Gav," she said dismissively, brushing past me. "Don't worry. I'll wear this for you another time." I didn't reply. I flipped on the radio, aimlessly cycling through stations until a familiar song stopped me in my tracks, Careless Whisper by George Michael. Of all the songs, of course it had to be this one. I turned up the volume, letting the melancholy saxophone fill the room. "Can I have one last dance before you go?" I asked softly. She paused in the hallway. For a second, I thought she might refuse. Then she gave a short nod. "All right. Just one." I walked over, took her hand gently, and pulled her into a slow embrace. Her body pressed against mine, her scent, soft and floral, bringing back too many memories. Familiar. Painfully so. "You're wearing English leather," she murmured. "I know it's your favorite." She didn't respond. We swayed to the music, her head briefly resting against my shoulder. I kissed her cheek, then trailed down to her neck, lingering there. She sighed soft, almost instinctive. Encouraged, I let my hand slide up to the strap of her dress, easing it gently off her shoulder. My lips found her collarbone. She stiffened, then pulled away. "No, Gav," she said, her voice firm now. "Don't. You know I'm leaving tonight. We can do this another time." I held her gaze. "It's not too late to change your mind." Her expression hardened. "I'm not changing my plans. I told you, I'm going on this date, and I don't want you to ruin it." Exhaling, I stepped back. "All right, Lauren. I won't stop you. You've made your choice. But before you go, there are two things I want from you." Suspicion flashed in her eyes. "What?" I gestured to the dining room. "First, look at the table I set for us. Just look. I want you to remember it tonight." I walked ahead, lighting the candles and dimming the lights to a warm golden hue. The table sparkled with our best silverware and crystal. Roses in the center. Romance. Intimacy. Everything we used to have. She glanced at it, then shrugged. "We can have dinner another time, Gav." "No," I said quietly. "We won't." Then I stepped toward her and gently took her left hand. And second, I slid off her engagement ring and wedding band with deliberate care. "I don't want you touching another man while wearing the rings I gave you. These mean something. Or they did. If you're going out tonight, you leave them here." Her eyes flickered, just for a moment, and I saw something, regret, maybe. But she didn't argue. I placed her rings, along with my own wedding band, on the hallway table. "Okay," she whispered. She turned to grab her shawl and clutch. And then, just as her hand touched the doorknob, the doorbell rang. We both froze. Through the frosted glass, a figure stood silhouetted in the porch light. Lauren frowned. Who could that be at this hour? She opened the door, and her face went slack. "Clara," she said, stunned. "What are you doing here?" I stepped forward, taking Clara's hand and guiding her inside. Her presence was electric. Gone was the professional office manager attire. Clara stood before us in a scarlet cocktail dress that clung to her curves like second skin. Off-the-shoulder bows framed her neckline, and her legs were covered in French-style red stockings. Her updo was pinned back with a matching ribbon. She looked radiant. "I invited her," I said simply. Clara's gaze moved to the candlelit dining room. "Gav promised me romance. Candlelight, dancing, good food, and a fire to cuddle up next to." I couldn't resist. Lauren blinked, flustered. "You look so different. Nothing like how you dress at work." Clara smirked. "I like to dress up for special occasions. And you look beautiful too, Lauren. That dress. Brent's going to enjoy taking it off." Lauren froze. "Brent? How do you know about him?" Clara's laugh was soft, almost mocking. "Oh, come on. Everyone in the paralegal department knows. The tax team too. Brent's not exactly discreet." Lauren's cheeks colored. "We tried to be careful." "Careful? Clara raised an eyebrow. Please. From the day he arrived, he was practically marking his territory. And you didn't resist. Shorter skirts, low necklines, heavier makeup. You even started wearing his favorite cologne. You were transparent. Lauren looked down, ashamed. Her voice came out barely audible. It was supposed to be harmless. Just flirtation. Then I got swept up. I thought it'd be just one night. I stepped forward, draped her shawl over her shoulders, and opened the front door. One night? Fine. Then go. But don't come back until tomorrow morning. I gave you every chance to stay. You chose him. Lauren stood in the doorway, torn. Her eyes darted between me and Clara. Her face was a mix of guilt and disbelief. I'll be back, she said quietly. I nodded once. Have fun tonight. And then I closed the door behind her. For a moment, I just stood there, listening to the sound of her car pulling away, the tires whispering over wet pavement. My chest felt unbearably heavy. She was gone for the night, maybe longer. Whatever happened next, things would never be the same. Clara approached quietly, her expression softer than I'd ever seen it. I can't imagine how you feel, Gav, she said gently. But just remember, no matter what choice Lauren makes, you've already won. She reached up, cradling my face between her hands. Her lips touched mine, tentative at first, a quiet reassurance. But it deepened, slow and warm, as I wrapped my arms around her and pulled her close. Her kiss was steady, certain. When we finally broke apart, both of us were breathless. Let's not waste the evening, Clara said with a small smile. Show me this dinner you've worked so hard on. Dinner's almost ready, I said, still catching my breath. But if you're up for it, I could use a hand. Lead the way, chef, she said with a grin, following me into the kitchen. I pointed to 3 open wine bottles on the counter, a chilled Chardonnay, a bold Cabernet, and a sweet dessert wine. She opted for the Chardonnay, and I poured us both a glass. After a sip, I took an apron and gently slipped it over her head, tying it at the waist from behind. I gave her a quick kiss on the cheek, which made her laugh. What's my task, chef? She asked playfully. I've already baked the bacon, I said, motioning toward a plate. Cut 5 strips into 1-inch pieces and mix them with the chopped iceberg. Then dice the avocado and toss that in. As she worked, sipping her wine and making light conversation, a wave of self-doubt snuck up on me. I glanced at her, this beautiful, confident woman now in my kitchen, and the thought hit me hard. I had only ever been with one woman. Lauren. What if I couldn't measure up? What if I didn't know how to be with anyone else? Stepping behind her, I placed my hands gently on her waist and leaned in. Clara. I've only ever made love to Lauren. It's honestly kind of terrifying. What if I'm not enough for you? Clara paused, then leaned back into me, her voice soft and sure. Gav, you have nothing to worry about. Just treat me the way you treated her, at least the parts that were good. If I want something different, I'll tell you. And if you want something, say it. Whatever it is. She turned her head slightly, giving me a playful smile. And for the record, I love foreplay. I kissed the back of her head, that flicker of confidence returning. You ever been a cheerleader? No, she laughed, but I do know how to motivate a man. A few minutes later, she held up the salad bowl with a flourish. Salad's ready. I followed her into the dining room, pulled out her chair, and helped her sit. Then I took my seat across from her. Before we started, I topped off our glasses and raised mine. To an unforgettable night, she said, her eyes catching the candlelight. I'll drink to that, I replied. Dinner unfolded beautifully. I served each course, and Clara praised every dish with genuine delight. She said it tasted like something out of a 5-star restaurant. Rich, layered, thoughtful. It felt good to be seen, appreciated, even admired. After dessert, I told her to relax while I cleaned up. She moved to the family room, and I watched the last plate in silence, the rhythm of the water grounding me. When I joined her, soft rain and distant thunder hummed through the speakers, just ambience from a playlist, but fitting all the same. Clara was gently swaying to the sound, eyes closed, completely lost in the moment. When she saw me, she reached out a hand. Dance with me? I stepped into her arms, and we moved together in the dim light, slow and close. The music became secondary. We weren't dancing to a rhythm, we were the rhythm. This is perfect, she murmured. It's been so long since I felt this. I feel the same, I said softly. After a beat, she added, for what it's worth, I haven't been with a man in years. And when I have, it's only been with men I really liked. I looked at her, meeting her gaze. That's good to know. And if I tell you I love you at some point tonight, don't take it the wrong way. I'll mean it, maybe just for tonight, maybe longer. But it'll be real. She smiled. Then I hope you do. The music slowed, and so did we, until we were just holding each other, her arms draped around my neck, mine at her waist. Her fingers played with the hair at the back of my neck. Her breath was warm against my skin. I could feel the softness of her body pressed against me, and she could feel me, too. I dipped my head, kissing along her neck and collarbone. She let out a soft, satisfied sigh. But then she gently pulled back. Give me a few minutes to change into something more comfortable, she said with a teasing smirk. Feel free to do the same. Meet me by the fireplace. She disappeared down the hall, and I headed to my room. I changed into black silk pajama pants and a soft-fitted tee, then poured a coffee with a generous splash of Bailey's. I sat on the couch, waiting. A few minutes later, I felt her before I saw her, arms sliding around the back of the couch, her hands slipping under my shirt, lips brushing my neck. I turned to see her. She stood behind me in a black satin robe, loosely tied at the waist. Beneath it, a delicate lace negligee hugged her curves. Her hair was down now, cascading over her shoulders, and her bare legs seemed to glow in the firelight. I reached for her hand and gently pulled her over the back of the couch. She let out a soft laugh as she landed in my lap, the robe parting slightly. I kissed her, slowly at first, then with urgency as the moment deepened. Her lips parted beneath mine, her breath quickening. My hands roamed her back, slipping the robe off her shoulders, revealing soft skin and the elegant lines of lace. She was absolutely breathtaking. I let the robe slip from Clara's shoulders, watching it fall like a whisper to the floor. She stood before me in just the delicate negligee, its fabric clinging to every soft curve. I kissed her again, deeper this time, losing myself in her warmth, in the moment, grasping for something real amid the chaos of the last 24 hours. My lips traced a slow path downward, lingering at her navel, then lower, as her breathing grew faster, shallower. Her body arched beneath me. I love you, Gav, she whispered between gasps. I love you too, Clara, I murmured, not missing a beat. And I meant it, maybe not in the lifelong, eternal sense. But in that moment, in that space between regret and release, I felt something honest. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Tears slid from her eyes as she held me close. I kissed her lips, her face, her neck, as if trying to memorize every inch, to press the memory into my skin. The night eventually gave way to stillness. Dawn was near. I showered first, kneading to clarity, the water washing away the haze. I dried off and dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. When Clara emerged, I handed her a soft towel. She'd brought a change of clothes, and soon we were both ready to leave the house. Brunch? I asked, casually. Her face lit up. I'd love that. We ended up at a cheesecake factory tucked into a nearby shopping center, just opening at 10 a.m. We took our time, coffee, conversation, smiles that felt easier than they had in days. It wasn't just distraction. It was connection. By the time we returned home around noon, Lauren's car was already in the garage. I entered through the side door and passed through the kitchen, where a fresh pot of coffee sat warming on the stove. I poured a cup and walked into the dining room. Lauren was there, seated at the table, coffee in hand. Her posture was rigid, her face unreadable, but her eyes gave her away. She was bracing for impact. In contrast, I felt calm, grounded. A faint smile tugged at my lips. Time to talk. So, I said evenly, how was your evening? Fine, she replied, her voice flat, her expression guarded. And yours? She asked, pointedly. Honestly? I leaned back in my chair, letting the words fall out with a quiet confidence. It was incredible. Clara was affectionate, attentive. We spent the night exploring what made each other feel good. Her head dropped slightly, and I saw it, one tear, slipping down her cheek. My chest tightened. For a second, guilt stabbed through me. This didn't feel like a win. It felt like a war no one had won. What's wrong? I asked, though I already knew. Didn't Brent live up to your expectations? Her voice cracked. It wasn't Brent, she said, softer now. It was me. I waited. I couldn't stop thinking about you. About Clara. About what you were doing together. She's beautiful, Gav. So confident. I knew she'd give you a better night than I ever could. She paused, gathering herself before continuing. Brent tried. He was gentle at first. Wanted the night to feel romantic. But I was already drinking before dinner. Wine at the bar. I barely touched my food. I couldn't eat. I just kept drinking. He suggested we dance in his living room, try to lighten the mood, but I was tipsy. Sloppy. He got frustrated, said we should go upstairs. Her eyes didn't meet mine. In the bedroom, he kissed me. I didn't stop him. He started undressing me. I let him, but I felt nothing. No thrill. No connection. Just emptiness. She swallowed hard. He could tell. Afterward, he looked at me, disappointed, and said, "That was the worst experience of my life. What's wrong with you?" Then he got dressed and left. Said he was going to find someone else at the bar. My jaw clenched. She didn't notice. I just lay there and cried myself to sleep. Her voice dropped even lower. When I woke up, the sun was out. I felt empty. I showered, got dressed, and left the hotel. I came home, hoping to find you here. I was at brunch, I said calmly. With Clara. She went home after. Lauren nodded, blinking back fresh tears. I'm sorry, Gav. I really am. I regret everything, getting involved with Brent, ignoring your warnings, hurting you. I see it now. He used me. I meant nothing to him. I leaned back, my voice sharp. Well, maybe you'll have better luck next time. There won't be a next time, she said quickly, her voice cracking. I swear. I want to go back to the way things were. I want us to be monogamous again. I want to prove that I can be the wife you deserve. Not so fast, Lauren, I said, holding her gaze. You spent months building something with him behind my back. You emotionally detached from our marriage while plotting this night. And now that it all blew up in your face, you want to hit reset. I let the silence hang. It doesn't work that way, I continued. I'm not sure I want to stay married to you. You didn't just betray me. You humiliated me. You tried to turn me into a fool. Her face crumpled as the weight of my words landed. Silent tears streamed down her cheeks. She looked at me, desperate. Please, don't give up on us. Let me fix this. I didn't flinch. Here's what's going to happen. She leaned forward slightly, hope flickering in her eyes. Next year, I said, I'm making some changes for myself. I'm getting a gym membership. I'm focusing on me. Once a month, I'll take myself out on a date with whoever I want. If those dates turn into something more, so be it. Her mouth parted slightly, but she didn't speak. At the end of the year, I continued, I'll reassess our marriage. If I decide it's no longer working, I'll file for divorce. If I find I'm happy, and I believe you've proven yourself, I might consider being exclusive with you again. I leaned forward now, my voice calm but unyielding. You have 1 year to prove that staying with you is worth it. No begging. No drama. Just results. Take it, or leave it. Lauren said nothing. She just stared at me, face what with tears, while I sipped my coffee and waited for her answer. If you can't accept these terms, I said evenly, I'll start divorce proceedings Monday morning. Let me know your decision. Lauren's voice trembled as she answered. Gav, I love you. I know I've taken you for granted, and I regret it more than I can say. The thought of you being with another woman, it destroyed me last night. She swallowed hard, eyes glassy. But losing you completely? That would ruin me. I'll agree to your terms. And I promise. I'll spend this year proving I can be the wife you always deserved. By the end of it, I'll make sure you never want to leave me. Then it's settled, I replied simply. The rest of the day passed without incident. I worked outside for a while, ran some errands. Before heading out, I tossed her a small olive branch. If you clean up the mess from last night and straighten up the house, I'll take you out to TGI Fridays for dinner. We'll split a rack of ribs. It wasn't a grand gesture. Just a breadcrumb toward normalcy. As the probationary year unfolded, Lauren threw herself into it with full force. She became attentive, almost doting. Her effort felt real, not forced, not performative. Meals were incredible. Starters like soup or salad, hearty main courses, steak, chicken, grilled vegetables, and dessert, usually something decadent. She served wine with dinner, and afterward, we cleaned up together like old times. The intimacy between us slowly reignited. It grew more frequent, more passionate, and far less mechanical. Lauren made it clear there was no line she wouldn't cross to reconnect. She wanted the spark back, and she was determined to fan the flames. Then, one evening over grilled salmon and garlic mashed potatoes, she looked up from her wine glass and said, I spoke to Clara today. I kept my expression neutral. Oh, about what? Her smile was small but genuine. You, me, and her. My curiosity perked. What did she say? She invited me to lunch, Lauren began. One of her favorite places nearby. We had wine, salad, and eventually, I asked her point blank if she intended to take you away from me. I leaned in, and she laughed. Lauren said, her voice soft. Told me no. She said you and her were a one-time thing. That you're friends now, but that's all it'll ever be. She said you're still hurt by what happened. That if anything, she just wants what's best for you. She paused. I told her how ashamed I am. What I did to you, to our marriage. I also told her about your decision to date once a month, and that we'll reassess everything at the end of the year. And what advice did she give you? I asked. She told me not to compete with other women, Lauren said. Instead, to make our home so warm, so irresistible, that you won't want to go on those dates. She said to turn this house into the better option. And that's what you plan to do. Lauren nodded. Every single day. I grinned. If that's your strategy, don't be surprised if I schedule a fake date just to see what you've got planned. She laughed nervously, but I saw something hopeful flicker behind her eyes. A few weeks later, I found myself back at Langley, Dixon and Harris, walking through the familiar marble lobby with a rare smile. Clara was at her desk, as always, elegant and poised. When she saw me, her face lit up. Gav, it's great to see you. She rose, wrapping me in a warm, familiar hug. We've been expecting you. Or rather, Mr. Langley has. As I held her briefly, I asked, any idea what this is about? Clara smirked. Of course I know. I know everything that happens here. But it's better if you hear it from him. She buzzed his office and led me down the hall. Before she opened the carved wooden door, she gave me a small, knowing smile. Then she stepped aside, letting me in. Gav, Mr. Langley said warmly, standing to shake my hand. Good to see you again. Please, have a seat. I sat opposite him. He leaned forward, hands clasped. I wanted to speak with you for 2 reasons, both of which, directly or indirectly, involve you. He gave me a moment before continuing. First, I thought you'd appreciate knowing we've formally updated our company's fraternization policy. It's far more comprehensive now, outlining clear consequences for inappropriate workplace relationships, whether between employees or employees and clients. Here's a copy for you to review. I accepted the folder and nodded. Thank you. I appreciate you taking this seriously. Mr. Langley inclined his head. We do. And your earlier visit helped highlight the gaps. So thank you. He paused again, his voice softer now. Without prying, how are things at home? I hope you and Lauren are finding your way. I chose my words carefully. Things are improving. We're not there yet, but I'm optimistic. Mr. Langley smiled. Glad to hear it. I stopped by Lauren's department a few days ago. Didn't speak to her directly, just checking in on workflows. But she seemed lighter, focused. I took that as a good sign. I nodded politely, not diving deeper. Now, he said, shifting slightly. The second reason I called you in. He picked up a paper from his desk. This is a letter I sent to Hughes, Duvet and Lewis, Brent Holloway's current firm. Professionally, Brent offered valuable help with our tax issue, and I acknowledged that. But there were other matters I felt compelled to address. He adjusted his glasses and read aloud. Dear Darren, you've already received an official performance report for Brent Holloway, acknowledging his expertise and contribution to a complex tax case. This letter is unofficial, intended only for your eyes. While Brent's technical skills are admirable, his personal conduct while with us was problematic. He pursued a relationship with a married colleague, escalating it to physical involvement. This behavior caused serious personal consequences for our employee and created internal strain. In a profession already battling image issues, integrity matters. Brent's actions raise concerns about his judgment, personal and professional. I urge you to monitor his work closely. This letter is confidential. Take whatever action you feel is appropriate. Sincerely, Robert Langley. He folded the letter and set it aside. This won't undo what happened, Mr. Langley said. But Brent won't walk away completely unscathed. It may slow his career down, and it ensures his behavior is on record. I nodded slowly, emotion rising in my chest. Thank you. That means a lot. As I exited his office, I was deep in thought, processing everything. I hadn't even noticed Clara standing nearby until her hand gently touched my arm. How are you feeling? She asked softly, studying my face. I took a breath. Honestly, I feel good, like things are finally starting to fall into place. She smiled warmly and pulled me into a tight embrace. Don't forget, Gav, she whispered. I've grown from this too. I really did love you while we were together. I looked into her eyes, voice steady. And I loved you too.